Look, if you don't get life for murdering two 15-year-old girls, apart, by the way, okay? Not that it makes it right if he'd done it, so please don't say, oh, it's all... But you know what I said. So this is carefully premeditated. It's not one night of temporary insanity. You've plotted it once and you've plotted it again, and you've carried out the attacks again, almost in similar circumstances. Twice, we must find out how many months apart they were. Both 50. If that doesn't get you life, for the love of God, what does? And when this poor mum, can you imagine? She was the mother of his second victim, says, it's a day I knew was coming. I've had to resign myself to it. I just hope no other girl meets the same fate. Well, I'm sure this poor woman does. But why are they even playing with this? I'm not suggesting, I'm not going to say hang him. We don't have the death penalty, and probably for all the right reasons, actually, in this country. But this man, he's still relatively young, 61. Campaigners say, oh, this goes back to the mid-80s. I don't go if it goes back to the mid-50s. Two 15-year-old girls, for me, is enough. The door shuts, you're never coming out, and if you go through all sorts of mental turmoil and anguish, well, good. You shouldn't rape and murder two underage girls.
Ian, I lived with every type of offender you can imagine. Every type of everybody. My sense was that the majority of people wanted to have good lives and get out and live. Nobody enjoyed being a criminal. You know, there's mental health problems now in prison, but the most people wanted to have lives like me and you.
Yeah, but Erwin, listen. I totally get where you're coming from, and I understand your story and why you feel slightly sympathetic. But the fact is,
I'm not sympathetic.
But somebody who's
Ian,
stealing for drug money is different to somebody who deliberately kills two 15-year-olds 3 years apart.
I mean, I can't comment on that, really. I mean, the parole board and the experts, I can't comment on that. If he was done today, he'd never be getting out. It'd be a whole life tariff. So he's got a second chance. I don't know, but I can't comment on that, honestly. But what I will say is...
Go on, yeah.
Well, what I will say is, most people I met in prison have the desire to change, to get good lives. But we don't like people in prison. We don't like prisoners and criminals, and so Ian, we make it so difficult for people to, join society. He's been 33 years. I don't know. I don't know that. If I can't really.
Tell me your view finally, though, Erwin, on the parole board as an institution and as a process. Does it work?
Right. My view is, people coming out of prison, we give them a chance. If they've been 20 years, or 25 years, or 2 years, or 6 years, we've got to give them a chance. We've got to welcome them back. Because if we don't, what happens is they cause more harm, more victims, more problems. I think we should try, as a society, to welcome these people back. Even him. And I hate to say that because I know he's a very hateful figure. But if we don't help him, they're going to let him out. We've got to try. We've got to try to help him.
Would you feel okay if a female member of your family encountered Colin Pitchfork in a woods somewhere, walking their dog? Would you feel okay with him?
Well, assuming he's not got a T-shirt on saying "I'm Colin Pitchfork, double murderer," I would assume it's just. I'm trying to answer your question, Christine. I'm trying to answer your question. You asked me, so I'm walking my dog in the woods, and I see a man.
You, a female member of your family.
Okay, so my wife is walking the dog in the woods. She sees a man in the woods. The end of the dog walk. Is she going to jump to the conclusion that's a double murderer? No, she is not. Is he likely to attack her? Only 0.5%.
That's what I'm saying.
But you haven't got any examples of people attacking people after they've been released after 30 years in prison. Do you have any examples at all?
I can't get. There have been cases
one.
And then they come out with that classic saying.
Come on, name one. After 30 years in prison,
I can't name one because I can't remember.
Probably because there aren't any.
But it's a known fact that psychopaths and are actually very cunning and manipulative. So the fact that he was released for a few days and walked the streets and didn't murder anybody, that's because he's looking long term. And what about the girls he murdered and the destruction to them? They never got to have a life.
What about the rule of law? What about
children?
handing down a sentence in a court of law and then sticking by it? What's wrong with doing that, eh? Nice talking to you, Christine.
A very close friend of mine was raped at Knife Point, and some crimes are beyond the pale and do not require anybody. And my point is, the reason I'm wrong is these people on the parole board, would they let him babysit their children? Would they let him live in a house near their daughter's schools? Or would they like him living next door to them? And I would say that the answer is no. And it's all right saying, well, we've assessed him and he's this, that and his other, and he's like St. Francis of Assisi now. But you get one chance. And if he was to go ahead and do something, I'll tell you what will happen. Somebody will come out of the courthouse with a sheet of paper, stand at the top of the stairs and say, lessons will be learned. And by which time another family's life is ruined.
Daniel, I agree with you a lot, but only to a point, and I'll tell you why. And what I'm about to say is a kind of, slightly detached, grown-up Sheila from this story, because real Sheila just talking to Daniel, absolutely agrees with everything you've just said. And I would say clearly they wouldn't want him living next door to them or babysitting their children. But that's not their job on the day. Their job, or I'm sure it took more than a day. The parole board's job is to use the law as it stands in relation to this grim individual's case, to use the law as it stands and assess the degree of risk. And they've just done their job. And I don't like it any more than you, but I think we can't have justice being as emotional as you and I clearly feel about this case, and we'd be odd if we didn't feel that way about this case.
But would you think that way if he was to come out and kill some member of your family? Would you still think the same then?
No, I don't personally think it. What I'm saying to you is we have to accept for now that this is the law as it relates to this man's case. This is the law. Well, and if you're,
you get one chance.
Yeah, I agree. Listen, I hope what I'm saying is making sense to you, Daniel.
Yes,
I agree with you.
Yes,
if I was in your garden now in Sheffield, I'd be literally agreeing. I feel as you feel about it.
Yeah. And the people who've made this decision will probably never come into contact with him, But some poor family out there now may well do. And then you'll get them coming out on the court steps, like I said, lessons will be learned. But for that family, it's too late. I'm old enough to remember the Moors murderers, Hindley and Brady. And people tried to get Myra Hindley out, but her kid, she was way beyond the pale. And I put this guy in the same league as them two. To come out with a kid in your car, murder somebody, rape them, and then go home and put them to bed. You cannot take a chance with a mind like that.
And writing in one of the newspapers today, the Secretary of State for Justice, or Justice Secretary Robert Buckland, says, I share the frustrations of many Daily Mail readers that Colin Pitchfork could soon be out of prison. His were the gravest of crimes which left two families in unimaginable grief. He was, of course, the double paedophile murderer in Leicester, who was looking as though he might get parole. Robert Buckland joins me now. Well, it, of course, falls to you as Secretary of State for Justice. You can do something about it. So what are you doing about it? Good morning.
Well, good morning, Nick. Indeed, I have a power to order or to ask the parole board, to reconsider the decision that they've made. Now, that power relates to particularly restricted grounds as to whether I or the Secretary of State holding my office would think that the parole board had acted unreasonably or irrationally. I've looked at this carefully, taken the fullest advice, and have decided in these circumstances to refer the matter back to the parole board for their reconsideration.
What's the timeline on that, Secretary of State? How long will this take?
Well, it's very much a matter for them. I've acted within the 21-day period that I'm given in order to ask for reconsideration. It's now for the board themselves to consider all the issues. I can't speak for them as to how long they would take. I would hope that they would deal with it as swiftly and as fairly as possible.
Of course, this plays in to the role of the probation service, and I understand that you and your colleagues are working to review that as well.
Yes, indeed. In fact, more than that, I've announced, and in fact today is the first day of the new probation service, which covers all of England and Wales. It brings together the entire probation workforce. I've been recruiting more probation officers, 1,000 in the last year, 1,500 next year. I'm doing that because these people are in the forefront of the fight against crime. They're there to supervise and to work with offenders, to work with the police and other agencies to cut that cycle of crime. And that's why I'm investing more in drug rehabilitation programs and indeed investing 200 million in charities and other organisations that work with offenders in order to reduce that cycle and to break that cycle of criminality.
Yeah. A very quiet individual, if I'm brutally honest. I'm calling in. I'm a first-time caller.
Good man.
But I think this isn't the kind of thing you can rehabilitate, if I'm brutally honest. And I've seen, I did 12 years as a prison officer. It frustrates me at the fact that they think that this person can be let out. A lot of people have said it already. He's not going to be safe around young girls. It's not something you can take out of him. It's in him. No matter how long he's been in jail, they would have done courses, X, Y, Z. Somebody mentioned the SOTP. They have a VOTP course as well for violent offenders, but it doesn't stop them being violent. It's a thing that's within them. So my massive view is that no, he should not be released.
Of the people who who've been released from jail, give us a sort of ballpark figure of the percentage of them who reoffend.
I'll be honest with you. I'm not going to lie and say I know the percentage of reoffenders. I really don't. I've been out of prison service now about over 10 years.
All right.
But I do sort of keep abreast of what's going on, and the reoffending rate of a lot of prisoners is quite high.
Is it?
Of many different, crimes, but certainly sexual offences like this, which is, like you said, it's the extreme. This guy will never be safe around others.
Do you have a daughter, Peter?
No, I don't.
All right.
No, I don't.
And if you did, would you be happy for her to live within 10 miles of this guy?
Not at all, no. I wouldn't want him anywhere near. They'll always find a way. When they're inside, they're put on wings with other prisoners of the same nature and the same crime. And they talk and they mix, etc. And it's like any, even on the main part of the prison, it's a crime factory. These guys just come out. A lot of them come out better prisoners, or better criminals.
Do they?
They make more connections, etc. So no, I wouldn't be happy with that at all.
All right. And just again, as a character reference, the parole board have obviously felt, he's well behaved, he's civilised, he's done what he's told, he's done courses, but even that, you wouldn't say necessarily means he's safe.
No. These guys, there are a lot of guys in there, and I did meet quite a few over 12 years. They do the courses and they want to sort of make a better life for themselves, but there's a certain element of crime that is it's just within them. It will never go. And a lot of them, there's the guys that do the courses to tick the boxes to get them to the open jails where they can get out and they can do what they want to do. You said he was spotted somewhere, so he's done what he needs to do, and now he's allowed to walk around a community. Possibly with a job or possibly with, some kind of thing outside in the community. And it's just not right.
So you don't think that even though he's in an open prison and under licence he's been allowed out for a day, presumably under caution, under security, you still think that it's not safe?
No, of course it's not. It's still out, isn't it? It's still out in the community on his own. So therefore, what's the difference of being 1 day or 10 days or 100 days? He's still out in the community, isn't he? On his own, unsupervised. That's still the same criminal. It's still the same person, no matter how many days or how long he's out there.
But would you say, in your experience, there are people who can change?
There's an element of people who want to change, but there's for me personally, in my experience and the people that I met, there's a level of sexual violence and sexual crime that cannot be cured, and they know that themselves.
And is he one of them?
Yeah, without question. I mean, look what he's done. Look at his crimes. They're horrendous. But there are people who, without sounding disrespectful, I don't mean it to be, but there's a lesser level of crime like that think, right, they know there's something wrong with them and they want help, but they'll never be cured. It's not something you can just say, right, well, I'll just turn that off now and I won't do that anymore. But his level of crime, I think, is of the utmost and shouldn't be.
So someone like you could never be his friend?
Absolutely not.